lift up your name and bring honor to you. Let the words.
Our next and last speaker is Mr. Tope Adu, a graduate of computer science, an IT and project management professional, founder of Lucid Solutions Limited and Lucid Capital Limited, a member of the prestigious Project Management Institute of the United States of America for over a decade. In fact, that certification, he got it before me. He challenged me to get mine. Okay, so an entrepreneur, an investor on National Association of Security Dealers, OTC, an investor on NASD, OTC, NSC for over 12 years with key interest in real estate development, bond treasury, mutual funds, stock, and commercial paper. So we want to talk a little bit about the money thing so that it will be complete. And he's married to Dolapo. Dolapo, wave your hands. With their two lovely children, and they have two lovely children. Praise the Lord. So with Jesus' joy, help me to put your hands together for Mr. Tope Adu.
Thank you for having me, Mer. And congratulations to you on your 50th. That's a huge one. Congratulations to you. Pastor Macy's happened to be, she was my former lecturer at CPMS, where I studied on your 50th. That's a huge one. Congratulations to you. Pastor Macy's happened to be, she was my former lecturer at CPMS, where I studied effective project management. Then she also was part of my lecturer when I did my project management series. I will be speaking on one of the most important topics. I consider it very important because it's everything we do in life and how we live our life. What I'll be speaking on briefly at multiple streams of influence and income. So the aim of this section is to create awareness on the need to invest, have multiple streams of income, and get you to understand its importance for you to take action. Before I go into that, I will speak briefly, less than 5 minutes, about Nigerian economy. You see, it has become so imperative that beyond our profession or what we do for a living, we need to understand what I describe as financial literacy. And for you to understand financial literacy, there are other things you actually need to understand before that. Now, the last government came into power with relatively stable economy to an extent. And over the last 1 year, we've had inflation numbers jumped from 22 or thereabouts to 33 or over 33 now. And for everything we hear from the monetary policy guys and then the fiscal guys, that's the Federal Ministry of Finance, let me just quickly break that down. Those are in charge of our fiscal responsibility. And then the central bank is in charge of monetary policy, And there has to be a perfect handshake between these two most important entities in the country for us to have a stable economy. But anyway, as we speak today, it is no longer news that inflation is 33%. The value of the naira has tumbled X3 or 4 to 1,700 or thereabout. Now you need to understand the implication of that to you personally, as a person. What does that mean? It means that if you were on a net monthly wage of say 300,000 naira for the purpose of this section, and then you had inflation at 22% last year or thereabout, and today you have inflation at over 30%. What does that mean? What does that mean? That simply means that your purchasing power has actually been reduced from 22% to, or has actually been eroded by 33% as we speak today. So it means that the strength of your naira has been weakened. So if you, for instance, if this keyboard used to cost, say 300,000 last year, it means that you need additional 33% of that to add to it by the keyboard this year. So that is how much value the naira has lost. And then the naira is actually losing value faster than we think. Prayer won't solve the problem. You will need to take the challenge into your own hands. And one of the ways to actually do that is to understand what your primary income is and see how you can diversify your income to different sectors of the economy or to different endeavors, so that you're able to generate different income to cushion the effect of the loss or the devaluation of the naira or the price increase. I will speak about briefly about inflation as well. Okay, I already talked about that. Now, your primary source of income, let's get that right. Your primary source of income is actually your monthly, what you do on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you're a banker, you earn salary, or you're an entrepreneur. Your source of income, that's your primary source of income. And now, to be able to actually create multiple sources of income, for every naira you have in your hand, there are two places on earth you can invest in. If you're not investing in what I describe as a real asset, that's a tangible asset, you've been investing in a paper asset. An example of a paper asset are commercial papers, debt instruments such as bond, your treasury bill, etc. Or stocks. It's also a paper asset because it's not real, you can't see it. Now, for the other speaker mentioned, talked about entrepreneurship as a career. She's actually 100% correct. I've spent over 10 years of my life in that area, entrepreneurship. I've only worked for about a year or less in my life. So for you to be able to actually diversify, you need to understand investment. And for you to understand investment, you need to come into the powerful knowledge I describe as the financial literacy. This is the only thing in life that would make you create your own economy. As the federal government is making their own pronouncement, which is actually going to affect you, or affect every other thing you do in life. You need more money to pay your children's school fees. You need more money to feed. You need more money to put fuel in your car. You need money. In fact, money is one of the most important things in life, but we don't actually give it the attention, and how we treat it also matter. For you to be able to create multiple streams of income, your 300,000 naira, for example, which is probably your primary income, you can set aside, say, 20-25% of that to invest either in a commercial paper or a bond or a TB. I would explain all of this in a bit, so that you can edge against inflation. If the inflation is going like this, you should be going like this. What does that do? It strengthens your naira in your hand. The more you leave the cash in your hand, the more you spend on frivolous things, the more you you give money out, the more. But for you to be able to come into a level to be able to create the multiple income, you start need to imbibe what I describe as the fiscal discipline. You have to be extremely disciplined to be able to achieve these financial goals. And you don't put money in an essence you don't understand. For instance, I don't do what I don't understand. People pitch different investment opportunities to me. But the moment I'm not able to understand the investment, I don't put my money. And for me to put my money, I need to understand the investment. The time I spend in understanding that particular investment is actually the investment itself. The money you put into the opportunity at the end of the day or at the end of the process is just the end part of it. Because if you do not understand that investment and you put your money and the money goes down, you would not be able to understand what it takes for you to wait it out for that investment to bottom out, and then it starts to rise again. So all of these knowledge are what we need to arm ourselves with in this 21st century, because our mothers were able to raise us with their salaries, but that is practically impossible in today's economy. And for you to leverage, you have to leverage your knowledge. People perish because of lack of knowledge. I would encourage us every day to constantly seek financial knowledge, which is the first step. Because a lot of us lose money. We lose the small money we have, with small money we make, because we do not have that knowledge. Or we turn out our money to the advisors. And a lot of these guys too, in Nigeria, based on my own experience, don't even have this knowledge. So how do you get this knowledge? You would need to take an extra step by constantly maybe listening to financial news, listening to business podcasts, listening to recap on the news segment every day. They do a recap of Nigerian Stock Exchange. Most people don't understand those things. Most people actually don't understand those things. If time permits me, I will break those things down to you in a bit, so that at least one or two people will be able to know that investment is actually not scam. It is the knowledge we need to liberate ourselves. So I will describe passive and impassive income briefly, and that would help us to determine at what point we attain what I call financial freedom. Now, an income you generate primarily by your day-to-day activity. It's your active income. An income you generate through your investment, through engaging in other business entities to create additional income for yourself, is what I describe as a passive income. Why is it passive? Because you're not actively involved, especially in things like TB, in investment, or securities like TB or commercial paper. You simply invest and then you watch the money compound or grow. Now, your financial freedom will become a reality to you at the point when your passive, your active income, is your active income. That means if you no longer actively involve yourself, say you retire from your banking job now, and all you could earn in a year by actively being involved in that job is, say, 3 million naira. And then over the year, say 6, 7, 8 years, you have constantly set aside some money that you've invested. And then your passive income has a net turnover of, say, 9 million naira. So it means that if you were able to survive on that 3 million naira, if you no longer do anything again, if you sleep and wake up, you're still making money. That is the point where you can say you have attained a financial freedom. Or when, God forbid, you're sacked from your place of employment, how long it will take you to actually still survive, either you work or not. That is the length of your financial freedom. And for you to come into that realization, you need to start today. I started over 10 years ago. I've been an investor on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the NESD. I just got into real estate 2 years ago to further diversify. Now, there are certain things and certain knowledge we need to come into for us to be able to achieve this. And the number one thing I would say is we need to create a different mindset and cycle. Look at how much of time you spend on a daily basis and see how much time you can set aside to actually study. Because if you do not study, indirectly you are leaving your destiny and your financial freedom in the hands of another person to take care for you, which is almost impossible. A lot of us grew up in a Nigeria that had worked. We had seen things worked, but things don't work anymore in Nigeria. So you need to take fiscal responsibility into your own hands and then design your own economy and immune yourself from the external forces. What do I mean by that? I personally will wake up and study Nigeria's economy at large. Look at where the government is putting effort, and look at the sectors of the economy that the fiscal policies and the monetary policies favor. That is where I'm going to invest. I will leave the sector that the current policies and economy pronouncement by the government has affected. And that leads me to asset reallocation. If I used to be in farming, that is an asset because it generates revenue. Anything that generates revenue, that's an asset. Anything that takes money away from your pocket is a liability. So if I had invested in that sector and I see that the policies are not good at the moment or not favoring that sector, what do I need to do? I will take or liquidate my investment in that sector and take it to the sector that has a favorable economic conditions and policy at the moment. A good example of that is the banking sector. Another good example is the oil sector. The people in the oil sector, as we also think today that the country is so bad, people are making tons of billions, minting money every day. And what have they done? They've been able to push themselves to a level of knowledge that you and I, or possibly you, do not have access to. The oil sector deregulation, according to the federal government, has created so many opportunities in that sector. And before now, I think it used to be the fast-moving consumer goods sector. You know, a 10 million naira or thereabout invested in a corn oil shares in January 2020 is worth 260 million today. That's times 10, right? That is an example of a way to actually hedge. I had 10 million naira in the bank last year, right? The value of what that 10 million naira could purchase last year would be net of 22%. That's the real value of the I had in the bank at the time. Now, if I had left the money in the bank at the mercy of the bank, at the the prevailing interest rate, they'll pay interest on that money, maybe about 7 or 6%, depending on your negotiation power with the bank. That is in no way compared to the rate and speed at which the value of that naira had actually been depleted. Now, the same 10 million, if I had left it at the bank, today it would only be able to purchase goods that it could purchase at maybe 80 something million naira last year. Today would be about 67 or less than 67 million. But that same, sorry, 6.7 million, thank you. But that same money, if you had invested that money in, say, a corner or even Oando, because that sector is favored right now by the policy of the federal government, that same 10 million naira today is worth 260 million naira. What have you done? You have taken action, you have taken your financial dependence to your own hand by making an informed decision at that time to take that risk and invest, rather than just leaving the money idle at the bank. That's the power of investment. Actually, investment changed my life. I studied computer science. I set up an IT firm. The money I made, I'm trying to use myself as a clear example for you to understand. The money I made primarily from my IT project, I invested it in stock. I love stocks. That's me. Although I've invested in bonds, treasury bills, and all those things. But if you're able to understand economic indicators, fundamental analysis of a company and institution, and how to break those things down to numbers in terms of understanding financial statement of financial position, you'll be able to get an informed decision from those things you see being published on newspapers every day. They are meant for some people, they are not meant for everybody. Less than 6% of Nigerians invest, which is why the country is like this. So what I would advise you to do is to consider, when you leave here, do you want to be on the side of the 6% that invest in this country, or join the other side where you have to struggle financially for most part of your life? So my journey in investment I purchased my first property with investment. Salary would never have been salary. That's what investment would do for you. Investment from paper assets had actually given me the confidence and leverage to further diversify into real estate. That same money, all you need to do in your life is to get investment is so sweet that you don't need to get so many things right. That's the only thing I know, that you don't have to get so many things right. All you need to do is get a few investment decisions right, and it is enough to change your life forever. Another good example we all know is this oil company called Aradel. I don't know if has anybody heard of Aradel here? Nobody. Aradel used to be Niger Delta Oil Company Development Corporation. It was lately renamed to Aradel. Being traded on NESD, that's the alternative, that's over-the-counter. OTC means over-the-counter. Those are type of securities that are not opened to scrutiny. All companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange are bound by a set of rules, like you have to publish your result, your audited result or quarterly result. You have to disclose every information that might impact the public, because it's PLC, Public Limited Company. So unlike the OTC, that the information is a little bit not available there. But an Aradel stock that was 290 naira last year or thereabout, as of January, sometimes in sometimes in September or thereabout, that same stock, one unit was worth 9,000 naira. Yes, just go and check when you leave here, so that you can spur on your inner self and challenge yourself financially to be able to liberate yourself from the cycle we are today. You see, 219 naira last year to 9,000 naira. And this same company paid in March or thereabout, the dividend paid out was almost 200 naira, if not more, last for the 2023 audited account. That means an investment, for instance, say you're 29 million naira in Naradel as of January, that's 29 million naira. Within 12 months, that same company had paid dividend of 200 naira, 20 million. That means that you've been able to recoup your initial capital you invested in that company. You've been able to recoup 20 million naira out of the 29 million you had invested through dividend payment by the company. And your net capital will now be 9 million. But imagine a stock from 29 to 9,000, that's over $1 billion. These are one and lifetime decision that is enough to make you a billionaire. To buttress the point I made earlier that you don't need to get a lot of things right in investment. You only need to get a few right. And what will they do to you? They will define the rest of your financial journey and life. People who get over 70% right, I mean, the likes of Warren Buffett, the likes of, there's so many, Cathy Wood. Cathy Wood is one of my inspiration, a woman. She's the founder of ARK Investment in the US. Cathy Wood has been described to an extent that when she comments about an equity or a company, just by what she said alone, a lot of people take that even as information and they run with it and they win with it. That's how influential she is in that space. But if she has not been able to take her financial journey early seriously in life by constantly going through financial education, which is studying, because that is what I did. I am from a science background, but because I understand the power of investment at some point, that for me to actually be able to grow in life and for me to be able to set a financial goal, put time and date to it, and to be able to achieve it, I needed to go and study, which is the financial education part of your life. And all of us need to actually take that seriously. I would encourage you to take financial classes, read financial journals. You don't need to understand it now. Pick a newspaper, pick on a journal, get on YouTube. You don't need to understand it immediately. But by constantly, watching it, reading it, you would understand over time. Right now, for me to be able to invest in any company, I pick up the financials of the company. I go into the statement of financial position, which is what the accountants used to call balance sheets those days. I want to see the capital structure of the company, the debt to equity ratio, the net assets ratio. Those things will give me an informed decision to say as to whether the company is actually healthy or not. And also tells me the time frame the company is able to handle its obligations, financial obligations. That is where you see those things there. And then you go to the profit and loss, which does not necessarily reveal the health of the company at that time. A good example is Oando, no, not Oando now. A good example is, let me look for a good example. A company that is not so much making money right now, but they have future, which is why you'll be able to also get in early with them, so that you are part of the early investors. We had First Bank, UBA, a lot of this bank. Before this time, they were trading below 10 naira, 7 naira, 6 naira. But today, a lot of those banks are trading around 40 naira, 30 naira. they've done times 3, times 4. What will that do for you? One, it puts more money in your pocket. It makes you to be able to afford your dream destination for vacation. Makes you financially more responsible in your household. You're now able to also assist your husband. It gives you influence when you write out to external bodies such as embassies and things like that. They take people who invest more seriously than people who do the 9 to 5. Yes, I am a good example. I've traveled around this world. All I need to do, contact my broker, contact CSES. They will get me my statement of investment and assets. I'm not being evaluated right now on the money I have at the bank. I'm now being evaluated on my net assets. I don't know if you get that. So it creates that leverage for you and influence to be able for you to do much more in terms of even creating another business venture for yourself. For instance, if you're forming a new company and you're trying to set up, your investment can form the initial capital required to give that company life. Your investment will enable you to leverage on loans. Your investment will enable you to rest well, to sleep, knowing what you're worth every night, knowing fully well that you can meet your medium to long-term financial obligation. There is nothing as good as that in life. And the earlier we're able to actually realize that, the better for us. And your journey starts today. It is never too late. Sometimes I query myself that, had I known, if I had met so people that actually changed my life. That doesn't define the journey. What actually defines the journey for you is the day you hear this opportunity to be able to change your own life by yourself, and you take action by leaving this place today to probe further. You probe yourself first, you question yourself. Get back home, write your financial goals. Set milestones, financial milestones. When you don't do that, it doesn't give you a clear vision as to how to navigate that terrain, because you don't even know what you need money for. But when you set financial goals, your retirement goals, and then the next thing is to look for how to achieve this. And how to achieve that is by acquiring financial knowledge. When you come into that space, every money that comes into your hand, the first thing you will think about will not be to spend. I'm happy I spend a lot. And guess what? Do you know I spend on? I spend on investment. It got to a point in time in my life, if I don't invest in a month, I could fall sick. Yes. Because it became a part and parcel of me to an extent that so many things became irrelevant. Cars, shirts, so many, the things we want to spend, an average mind will spend money on, became irrelevant. It reposes the confidence in me every time, knowing fully well that I am beyond the physical and material things. It takes you to tables that ordinary people would not be naturally. For instance, my investment gives me the opportunity to speak to banks, to speak to bank MDs, to do different things. And one of the ways you can quickly double up is to go back home today and start this journey today. Believe you me, in the next 2 to 3 years, your life will never remain the same. Your life will never remain. I have seen people that investment changed their life completely. Completely. My mentor, Felix Unjoko & Co., retired as a financial director in Nigerian Corporation. But he told me one thing. He said, Tope, I'm happy going home, but a lot of my colleagues always look for a way to get back they don't want to leave the office. Why? Because they are scared of tomorrow. Why? Why? They have not prepared, even though God had elevated them to such position, but they've not been able to prepare their post-retirement. We are going to age at some point to an extent that we will not be able to lift ourselves. We will not be able to, we will not have that energy probably in our 40s or 50s. But what will answer for us in times of need? Your investment. What you sow today. Investment is the only thing I know that is not fluke in life. It is what you put in and watch it grow over time, especially if you put your money into quality assets. Another thing you can do is to go to go the entrepreneurship route. There are so many things we can do. I met a young lady making juice yesterday. Imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Imagine the volume is not much now. 2,000 naira. You're able to make, say, 10 in a day or 20 in a day. Times even 3,000, 10, that's 30,000 naira. Law of compounding times 30. Do you see that? And at some point, you start to expand. And before you know it, the money keeps flowing in. But when the money keeps coming in, never rely on that money to see you through alone. You need to constantly roll it over. By taking the money from that, not spending it on frivolous things that are not important, on liabilities, and putting it in an asset to grow and yield for you. Liabilities are things that a lot of us enjoy. People spend so much money they don't have on their self, the way they look. People spend, some people spend like 40 to 50% of their earnings on things that doesn't even bring money to them. But at the end of the day, they are constantly complaining. I have never been broke in the last 14 years. Why? Investment. Because it is the last buffer that I can always fall back on. I wanted to give birth and my wife was to travel in 2015, right? And the hospital bill, by the time I saw it, there is no how, like within the period, I think it was less than 6 months for me to prepare, there's no how I would be able to pay the bill by physically what I earn, like what I earn from my office, because I try to separate myself from my office, so I earn salary. So if I multiply my salary probably then by 5 or 6, it won't cover the bill. But what did I do? I fell back onto my assets. So it will enable you to do the impossible things. It will enable you to be relevant even in your extended family. So if you don't do these things, nobody will do it for you. I can't teach you to invest more than you can teach yourself. By constantly re-energizing your mind positively to the things you don't understand today, gradually you're going to understand it tomorrow. All what I'm saying today are things I personally learned. You would not believe it. All economic indicators, ratios, I read those things to an extent that I understood them and what they mean. In speaking, I am always interested. When the finance minister is speaking, I'm always interested. Why? Because every pronouncement they make, they shape our financial future and life. So whatever they say, the next thing is for you to go back, take whatever you are going to take from the statement and interpret it in such a way that it will make you understand that, oh, I need to re-strategize. The government is going towards this direction. But if you do not understand, you become a tool. God will not make us, God will not let us get into a poverty state that we would rely on government handout for us to be able to succeed. So I believe we've been able to get one or two things from this conversation. I really don't want to take much time because I'm told I have like 35 minutes. Do I have more time? Do I have more time? Oh, I have 5 minutes more. So I will spend my 5 minutes asking, responding to questions from everybody. If you ask me, if you have, if you want me to probably clarify on some things I mentioned earlier, if it's not so clear to you, I can quickly rerun that. Does anybody have any question?
All right, thank you so much for everything. I mean, you were just marveled at the numbers, hearing the numbers, how investments can, double, triple, and all of that. So the question is, how do we start? How do we start? When you don't have some money stock up somewhere to, it's not that you have, we're talking, investment makes sense when the money makes sense. Good. When you invest millions, you know that the return is good. But when it's your little money, how can you start, or where do you...
Thank you for that question. I've had to cancel a lot of my friends. And when I tell my friends, invest in this, do that, the next question is, I don't have the money, where do I get the millions? Investment is not about millions. You would get confused when you start to think about the millions you don't have. The first step is actually seeking investment education and having fiscal discipline to be able to invest as little as you can. When you see the positive effect and God blesses you at some point, you would have that capacity to do more. If you do not start little, there is no how you are suddenly going to be great, or suddenly the money comes in and then you have it. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, I will use myself as an example. I started to invest around 2009 or 10. A friend just called me, said they were doing initial public offer, First Bank, and then they had targets. I told him, I said, I don't think I'm ready to do this because I see people buying millions of units at the time and I could only afford 2,000 units. He convinced me that just buy, just leave it, it will grow. And so I did. And after that time, there were a series of public offers at the time, both public offers, IPOs and all. I bought into several of them without having the knowledge, without going through whether this is actually going to be good investment for me or not. But with that process, I got my fingers burnt. By the fourth company I'd invested in, I ran into the person that became my mentor today while consulting for them. And we had, my company was invited to come and resolve some issues in the audit department. And he was heading the department at the time. So when he saw me, he was like, "Are you the Lucy they are talking about?" I said, "Yes." "What do you do with money? I've been seeing your vouchers. You guys make a lot of money here. Now, what do you do with the money?" So I just broke it down that, "Oh, that is the company. Me, I'm different." He said, "No, but if you run the company, he was insisting. So I told him, oh, I bought a few public offers. And the next thing he told me was, I should buy more. Every time, buy more. So even the money to eat, I would invest. And then the market came crashing. So I ran back to him. I said, sir, the things I bought at probably 8 naira are now 3 naira now. He said, get out of my office, go and buy more. I bought more. It created another low to as low as probably 2 naira. I went back to him. He said I should just leave him, that I should buy more. And I asked him, I said, why are you constantly telling me buy more, buy more, buy more, or invest more? He said, a bad investment is better than not making an attempt at all. Do you understand that? You don't understand? I'll explain the word. A bad investment, that was what he told me, that yes, it's better than not making an attempt at all. What does that mean? It simply means the person that had gotten his fingers burned through the investment process is better off, and next time understands the type of information that he needs to figure out to make better investment decision the next time, other than you doing it the first, other than you who did not even make an attempt at all. Is that clear? Because I have 20,000. I had invested the 20,000 and I lost it. He had 20,000. He probably spent it on shoes. In the investment arena, I am better off. Why? Because I have taken the first leap of, or let me not call it faith, or the first test. And then with my failure, I am able to understand the next time why I failed, or probably I didn't do my due diligence before I made that decision at the time. So I am obviously better off in comparison to somebody that had not made attempt at all, or who had no idea. And to further answer your question, I remember taking checks of 5,000 naira to Ikoyi. Yeah, that's where my broker is, all the way from mainland, because I want to invest. I remember taking checks of 3,000 naira, 10,000 naira. So what did that teach me? That teach me within that period to be disciplined, to follow through a process. And when my primary income improved, because I had seen the result of my 5,000 probably turn 20,000 or 25, it was easier for me to make further decision to invest my millions. You can't say you want to start today and then you want to start with millions. You're going to lose that way. You test. And then I would even rather advise you to first of all spend your million acquiring investment education rather than investing. People lose money because I don't lose money. Yes, recently I lose money on few occasions where I go outside my principle. When you get to a level in investment, you create your own moat, you create your own index, you have some certain qualities of assets you only want to get into, and then you are disciplined enough to follow through. If you join the bandwagon effect, that is when you just follow a friend to do things you don't understand. I have never done crypto. I am still spending time in the last 2 years to read about it. So that is the time I actually invest in the process. That is actually the investment, not even the money, to further buttress my answer to you. So a lot of us lose money because we don't understand it. Somebody pitches to you and the next thing is you're putting money into it. But you have not taken your time to actually understand it. I don't know if you get my point. So I think I've been able to answer your question to an extent. I know it's still confusing to you, but trust me, the money you think is not valuable today, say 100,000 naira, as little as 100,000 naira. Imagine times 10 of it. Imagine even times 5 of it. Investment is the only thing that can make that possible. Because when you leave that money in the bank, because it's small, the value is being eroded by inflation on a daily basis, and gradually your purchasing power reduces and you're not able to purchase more. Can you give me 5 minutes? Let me explain commercial paper, bond, mutual fund, and another way to possibly hedge against inflation is to buy into government instrument. Debt is referred to as debt securities, like the bond. We see those news every day. People are making money. Bond TBs. They are government financial debt instruments to control inflation. Each time the government come to the public to borrow money, they are trying to, but at the same time, they are trying to also make life a little bit difficult. How do I mean? Inflation is going up. The easiest way to tame inflation is to take the money in circulation away. And one of the ways to take the money in circulation away is by telling you to come and buy into their security, government securities such as bond and TB, at a fixed rate per time. Bond is being issued by government. TB is being issued by government. The only difference is the tenor. Treasury bill tenors are usually shorter. Bond, they are usually longer, long-term investment. You can have bond as long as 10 years, maturity period, 5 years, 3 years. But for the treasury bill, they are usually shorter in terms of the maturity cycle. 180 days, 90 days, 365 days. The difference between the commercial paper and bond and the TB is that the commercial paper is only issued by the corporate sector, like the companies, like Dangote's, the likes of flour mills. They also raise money. If they find out that going to raise money, the interest rate is higher, with the level of their confidence over and the brand personification they've been able to build over time, people believe that people will believe in them that if I give a Dangote my money, Dangote will still be Dangote in another 2-3 years' time. A good example is what is currently flying around Dangote cement commercial paper for a tenor of 180 days, So I believe I've been able to explain that so that when you open the newspaper tomorrow or tonight at 9 o'clock news and the business section, somebody is talking about these things, you're able to understand them and you know what they mean. I would rather you buy a government bond because it is risk-free, it is guaranteed, than for you to leave that same money at the bank. I bought, for instance, I approached to put it in context to you. 5 or 6 months ago, I approached my account officer. No, she approached me and she saw money. What do I want to do with it? I said, I'm thinking of treasury bill. She said, no, I should fix it. But because I'm with knowledge, how much are you giving me? 10%. I'm like, no, even in 90 days treasury bill, government security is going to give me 16%. So I invested my money. I took my money from the bank. I put it in TB. And then it returns with 16%. So these are things that knowledge will do for you. Knowledge will make you understand that you can actually get better for less. But when you are not armed with this financial knowledge, you leave your life into their hands to decide for you. I have advisors. I am always one step ahead of them, financial advisors. My CRO at my security firm will ask me that, how do I get this information? Because I am interested in it. When they tell me, this company is doing this, I said, I know about it already. So how do you always know? Because I also read. Many of us, we spend our time listening to irrelevant podcasts, things that can't change your life. I don't listen to things that can't change my life. In fact, I don't listen to people talk to me that I know that what they are telling me is irrelevant. The moment we take this, it might be a little bit difficult now because probably you're just starting. But believe you me, your life, even when you don't have money, but you have the knowledge, you know that the first thing that happens to you when money comes into your hand, you know what to do with it. And what is our problem in Nigeria? We don't know what to do. So the day we know what to do with our money, the day our financial, that's the beginning of the journey of our financial freedom. I'm not marketing for anybody, but the financial services are doing very well right now. So they are doing, some banks are doing public offers, right issues. You can take your journey, you can start your journey from there, read about these things. If you don't understand it, take it to people who understand it. They'll be able to explain it to you, and then from there your journey starts. Thank you.
Did you enjoy the session? It's been awesome listening to her. Thank you, Mommy, for coming all the way from Ilorin. I think we should come. Mommy was supposed to to leave for the UK on Friday. What is today? She was supposed to leave for the UK on the 21st. So when I begged her, she went to change her flight. So help me to put your hands together for her. She's a real mom. I love her so much. I'm so proud of her. And I'm hoping my mom will come on time so that before she leaves, she'll meet my mom. So with gratitude to God, we present you with this plaque in honor of our maiden edition of the Empowered Women's Conference. Thank you so much for coming. Yes. How many of you enjoy the money thing? Everybody wants money. She money. My God. That's the first time I'm hearing that word in my life. But I'm telling you, women that make money, See, let me tell you something about women making money. And why sometimes God is waiting for something before he gives women money. Because, and you guys need to be really careful, especially people that just marry. You see, God will always give you opportunities to have money. Mm-hmm. The mere thought of what you will do to your husband that is negative when you have money, the money will just die like that. It will just go. Do you understand? Because your she-go will just get up. Do you get? And God cannot afford for you to do that. In spite of what the man has done badly. He can't afford for you to take that revenge. You will destroy your lineage. Do you understand? So you have to let go of your pain. Because no matter how much is paining you, no matter how much is that they are cheating you, because he will not allow you repay evil for evil. So after all this class, you now say, I get my own money. See, as he's coming, he's going. Do you understand? You people are hearing what I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Please, let's add that to this. And the Lord will prosper you. Thank you, Tope, so much. Amen. Thank you for taking time. He's a very busy guy. And he has taken time to honor us today. So I hereby present this plaque, the Empowered Women Conference, the maiden edition to him. Excuse me, his wife is here. I want us to take the picture together. I won't let the opportunity pass me by. All right.
say cheese.
You're okay, guys. Don't mind them. You're okay.
Thank you so much, Tope. God bless you. We're immensely grateful. Thank you so much.